Hello everyone and welcome to the Wolfszeit channel. Today with a very special topic, always special. The lore behind Mortal Online, the world of Nave. Because often you're playing and you don't know why a town is like how a town is. And to getting a deeper understanding of the game world of Mortal Online 2, we have to understand the lore behind Mortal Online. To get some of the basics right, we are talking about Nave. This here is a very early version that Star Wars had in plan. The only thing that is Mortal Online 2 now is Myrland. And in the first game we had Myrland and Sarduccaa. And to understand it a little bit better, the whole world is called Nave. And the most interesting thing is Henrik also talked about Herabalter, Lykia and Nordveld in some point. And that is exactly what we are looking into. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the Mortal lore in general. So we start with Myrland. Myrland is the most temperate land, beautiful and varied, with mountains, forests, plains and below the great cliffs to the south, the jungle. But while Myrland is diverse, it lacks of extremes that can be found on some other lands. For example, the extreme cold north, Nordveld, or the extreme hot jungle, Lykia, or the extreme hot desert, Sarduccaa, or the extreme harsh continent of Herabalter, where it's only volcanic ash and it looks like Morrowind. To the northwest is the city of Tindrem, the greatest city in the known world and the capital of the Tindremic Empire. But it's just more or less a shadow of its former self. Nowadays, its rule barely stretches beyond the towns of Farbonum and Meduli, at least on Myrland. Its soldiers are still the best organized and equipped, and in the right situations, simply the best. I guess they mean hybrid fighters. Maybe. Tindrem has a great knowledge of both magic and science, but it's not the best in both. Across the central plains, the Khurite tribes roam, fierce horsemen and hunters. They compete more with each other than outsiders. Their winter camps are to be found along the southern edge of the plains in the mountains. To the east, their only permanent settlements, the city of Morin, for example. And the Khurites have bowed the knee to Tindrem before. And they know that they can't stand a chance against Tindrem. Luckily, the Tindremic Empire is not showing any sign of conquering Morin because of the skillful Khurite horse archers on the plains. The Tindremics would get their asses kicked. And the overall relation to Tindrem is cool and not hostile. Tindremic rule was not harsh, and indeed the tribes were more allied auxiliaries than conquered folk. So it's more or less a peaceful oppression, if you want to say it like that. The only native inhabitants of Myrland, at least above the Great Cliffs, are the Huegars. Once firm allies of the Tindremic Empire, these strong and cunning folk retreated to the underground fortresses in the northern Talos Mountains. And they sealed them off after an argument over the Empire's invasion of Nordveld. So more or less the closed Huegars cave entrance that we have in Hyllspaiya is having sealed Huegars in there. Those Huegars who remain above the ground in Myrland have descended because the cities were simply closed for them. And here and there a few Huegars more or less remained on the surface. But the Tindremic Empire was a little bit friendly, and they are considered citizens and respected by all in Tindrem. And many of them were skilled craftsmen and engineers. This is also one of the reasons why the Tindremic Empire having so much power. And when we look a little bit closer to the northeast, there lies the ruins of Gaul Kor. This was the second city of the Tindremic Empire, but it's now in complete ruins. The Risars have all but obliterated it, and while the hordes that destroyed it are gone, it's now filled with roaming bandits and thugs of all sorts. And here and there a few Risars. Gaul Kor was an industrial town dedicated for mining and extracting the valuable ores in the area, not known in such quantities anywhere else. In addition to the ores, the ruins are dominated by the furnaces built by the Huegars for the Tindremic Empire. And it was a technology, or is a technology, that nearly nobody above the ground can match for now. And the Empire lost a lot of its force while they lost the city. And the Tindremic Empire still want to rebuild the place to getting more power again. And beyond the city of Morin Khur to the east, there lies the small odd town of Toxai. And Toxai lacks a clear pattern or real central control of anything, having been founded by the Tindrems, but mostly controlled by the Khurites, and with a huge cave that is containing the Chevras. And the Chevra settlements are on the ceiling on this cave. And Chevra and Vela ships can often be seen in the port, because this is the first place where the Chevras and the Wheelers set foot on Myrland. So outside of the continent of Myrland, there's for example Piska, the only land still totally loyal to Tindrem. From here comes much of the Tindrem's food and manpower. And the good thing for Tindrem is that this is a port, the only port on the inner sea that is not totally shredded like Gaul Kor. Sadly, in MO2 Online 2, the harbor in Tindrem is still missing. Starboard. So the blasted wasteland that is Herabalter lies to the northeast. Herabalter isn't actually a separate land because the connection is narrow, but it's there. So the Tindremic Empire have built a wall and sealed off the continent to keep out the Risars. It failed though, but the ruins of that is still there, and also the Black Gate. And Herabalter is the continent of the Risars. It's filled with Risars, Risar camps, Risar villages, Risar towns. Lykia, the land of the jungle. It is on the southeast of Myrland and it's home to the Alvarins. Henrik also said once Lykia is looking like the 2010 movie Avatar. And legends also were told that this is the native continent of the Alvarins, where the largely primitive Velas roam around the jungles, while their cousins, the Chevras, live in cities and civilized in caves underground. So in the south is the land of Sidoia, or where people also asking Henrik all the times about ships and islands and deep sea. This is exactly the thing everyone was talking about. But the sad thing about these islands is there was some disaster. It destroyed the Sidoians so catastrophically that it fell below the sea. This is also why we have the tectonic plates are not matching up between Meduli and the jungle. The only stuff that is left of Sidoia are the tips of the mountain. The culture there is highly advanced. At least what's left of them. They are very high skilled magician and mathematics. But all that remains there is a civilization of Sidoians. It's actually a slave race for the empire. And there's not much left. To the northeast lies the land of Nordveld. It's cold, it's harsh, it's mountainous, and it looks like Skyrim. And the people are there having a successful resistance against the empire. The Blaines, the cousins of the Huegars, who have adapted to both the surface and the cold life there, live in harmony with the human inhabitants of this area. The Blaines that live there have given up on their ancient Huegar traditions and religion, and the differences from the human inhabitants of Nordveld are mostly physical. Still, Orkmirs are Orkmirs, and it was the Empire's assault that led to the split with the Huegars of Myrland. So most of the Huegars are supporters of the Empire, and most of the Blaines are the opponents of the Empire. To Sarduccaa, and yes, there's a little cringe GMV running in the background. It's also linked in the description. I made it over 7 years ago. So the mysterious land of Sarduccaa lies to the southwest, and its inhabitants are horsemen and horse breeders, and also camel breeders, and Khurite, and of course Sarduccans. So the human control of Sarduccaa is just only the surface. Most of the land is desert, and strange creatures roam this land. Oh yeah, there were a lot of strange creatures. And surviving on this continent is one of the hardest challenges ever, because simply the heat will kill you. And yes, the heat killed you, especially when you are a Thuzar on Orkmir. And also dark rumors of ancient death cults seem to have at least one basis. In fact, there are a lot of dungeons in there, and the cultists are still there. And they also think that human sacrifices are totally okay. So yeah, I hope you liked this little lore video about the whole map, about the knowledge about the other continents, about the Tindremic Empire and everything that's related to that. And if you guys wanna see continuous story about the lore of Mortal Online, I will do more videos. So please leave your opinion about the lore in the comments, would be really awesome by the way. Or what questions do you have about the lore and stuff, then maybe I can also ask a few employees at Starvolt. So please leave a like and subscribe, would be really awesome by the way. And share this video with your friends and I don't know, update it and I forgot my text. Where's the end card? Oh, there, there it is. Okay, a special thanks to all the supporters of course. Carmel, Lucario, Rodus, Paternax, Cologne, Bulldog and all the others of course. And never forget to make your lore hard. I mean, party hard. And see you all next time. Goodbye. and now I can watch my own cringe video from 7 years ago. It's not linked in the description.